afternoon. We'll call this public hearing to order. Good to see everyone. Good to have you here. Let me do this. I told one of the other groups that well before today, there's a series of events that take place. That being that Samantha several months ago sent out budget sheets to each of the departments. And when I say departments, that's more so than just the Liberty County Board of Commissioners, because trying to make this as much education as we can. Mr. Jerry Brown and Mr. Mosley, they have a staff that they supervise. Then also in this building, Tax Commissioner Virgil Jones, he's a tax commissioner, his staff, Ms. Glenda Roberts has her staff, tax assessor staff, and then we have inspection, other people that are here. Then in the Justice Center, of course, the sheriff's over there with his entire staff, magistrate court, clerk of courts, I'm missing one. All the court systems, they're there. All right, so all those people who operate under the big umbrella of the county are given budget reports to make their requests for what they need to operate for a year. So those sheets go out and they come in, and then, in fact, they actually come and present to us. So I recommend to the citizens next year when they come to present, you're welcome to sit in the audience and hear their presentation. You would learn a lot because they present one by one for each department on what their needs are to operate efficiently for a year. And we get to learn a lot from year to year, hearing from them. Anyway, we have to present, then the commissioners sit and review those with our staff, those sheets, and go through it with the fine-tooth comb, I will say, trying to find ways to look at what's needed, what may be delayed, and what's not needed. Then we sometimes able to apply some things to another source of funding, whether it be SPLOS fundable, then we put it into SPLOS. So those of you who have approved SPLOS over the years, we thank you for that. It helps to pay for a lot of the capital improvements in Liberty County, keeps it out of the general fund. SPLOS covers those items. So a lot of the capital equipment comes and is covered through SPLOS items. And then we kind of create a wish list. If we can delay some things to a later part of the year, then we do that. All trying to help, because while that's going on, we're waiting for the tax digest to come in from Ms. Glenda Roberts' office. And then when that comes, that kind of tells us where our growth has been in the digest. And we look forward to that because it helps us to know what funds will be available to afford operation of the county. And the digest did very well last year, I'm happy to say, but also at the same time, we had some unexpected expenditures, one being our insurance, and also we're still standing up our countywide fire department. As you very well know, if you've been in management at all, personnel is going to be your most expensive piece of running. It's going to be personnel. Of course, we're still on the backside of ensuring that we have our EMS fully operational also. But something that Commissioner Stevens said, I'm reminded of that, so just so you know up front, we do not pave roads out of the general fund. That comes out of SPLOS or T-SPLOS. So thank you once again for approving SPLOS and T-SPLOS. So road paving projects do not come out of the general fund. This board is responsible for the departments I mentioned earlier. Of course, we give funds to help run the library, the health department, all those things that are necessary services. And Ms. Samantha's going to run through some of that later. But we do not, and I repeat, we do not. We collaborate with, but we don't have anything to do with school board. That's totally under their board and their umbrella. Liberty County Development Authority, a separate body that met, had our hearing over there, and no one came over there. The Development Authority does all the industrial related stuff. That's what they do. And so just so you know, that's why on our public hearing protocol it says please keep it to those matters that directly under the county's umbrella. So once again, school board's not our baby. Development authority is not our baby either. Separate bodies with separate boards that do those things. We are appreciative. I was in a group this morning with a lot of young people from the 3 high schools, Liberty, Bradwell, and First Preparatory now. And we talked a lot about the county and what they see, and all those kids mentioned growth, how they see the growth in our county. So I was happy to see they're paying attention. So that just has been good to us, but as well as we try to plan, we did not plan for the great increase in our insurance rates. But we knew we had to cover the salaries because we agreed as a board that we would provide comparable salaries, so that's in this package too, to ensure our employees are well paid, as well as to make sure that we have a staff that's stable for our county, because people can opt to go other places for a higher pay sometimes. So with the staffing, with the insurance, and with the fire, those are 3 major items that I think Ms. Sam's going to show you in a little while that affected this year's budgeting process. But those are things that some we knew about, some we didn't know about. So that's kind of has gotten us to where we are. So I hope that gives you some understanding of how we go about getting to where we are today. And then we have to see, what the digest is going to cover. And the shortfall has to come, of course, from primarily from the property values, property taxes. I mean, there are other funds that help us out too, but the state of Georgia says counties will be funded primarily by property taxes. So that's kind of where we are. I will say this to you, and it's in all fairness, if I were not a commissioner, I wouldn't know nearly as much about how government runs. It really has helped to, I think all of us will say that, to be informed on what it takes to make the county run and run it efficiently. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and start. Please, if you will, Ms. Maria's back there. If you hadn't signed in to speak, please sign in to speak, and let's adhere to the rules so we can move through this and give as much attention as we can. But I really want this to be as educational as we can, because every year, and it may not ever end, but every year we find ourselves having to educate the public on things, i.e., one that always comes up is school board. And we don't do school board. We're strictly under the county's umbrella. I happen to see Mr. Stafford on the front row, Board of Elections. That's also under our umbrella. It's one of those things. So there's a lot of things. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, they need space. They need space as we speak. They need space. So we're looking for that. Because, the health department's on the way, yes, because the one we have now is, I hate to say antiquated, but that's the word that comes to mind. So those are all services that the county helps to provide. So we try to do our best, and we do. Someone mentioned, about shopping around. We do shop around. We don't just take a price from someone. We shop around and compare prices, all those things, to make sure that we're being good stewards of your funds. And once again, I cannot say it enough. We thank you so much for SPLOS and T-SPLOS to help us out with our road projects and with some of our special projects, i.e. A lot of projects in recreation. I know Commissioner Fifth now is looking at some new plate equipment for her park in Gumbrand. So SPLOS helps us with that. So thank you for that. That way it doesn't have to come out of property taxes. I'm going to stop there now and allow Ms. Samantha to lead us through the presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Today's public hearing is an opportunity to receive public comment on our proposed 2023 millage rate. The Board of Commissioners are scheduled to take action after the 3rd public hearing, which is set to start this evening at 5 p.m. A summary of the county's proposed millage rate has been posted on our website and advertised in the newspaper. I do also want to mention that this presentation and public hearing only relates to the county's portion of the millage. As Chairman Levitt explained, we have nothing to do with the Hospital Authority, Development Authority, School Board, even the city tax that the City of Hinesville assesses its residents. These are all external organizations. They have their own boards, adopt their own budgets, and set their own millage rates. Kind of want to start this presentation by explaining a little bit of what Chairman Levitt just said, but how the How the millage process works for the county. Each year, the county develops a budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The Board of Commissioners approve that budget on or before June 30th, which is our fiscal year end. The Tax Assessor's Office determines the current values of all the properties, real and personal, located within the county, and issues a consolidated digest. Using the approved budget, the county then calculates the amount of property tax revenue that we need to support our budget, and calculates a millage rate that will support our budget. As you're aware, property tax revenue is our largest source of revenue, and is needed to fund our operations, the services that we provide to the citizens, such as law enforcement, public safety, recreation, just to name a few. Protecting our citizens is definitely a top priority for the Board of Commissioners. Next, the Board of Commissioners will approve the millage rate for the current tax year. Once the millage rate is approved, the property tax bills are generated and mailed out by the Tax Commissioner's Office. So it is a combined effort by the county, Board of Commissioners, Tax Assessor's Office, and Tax Commissioner to determine ultimately what amounts will be billed to each taxpayer on their property tax bill. This slide details out the total tax digest for the current year and the past 3 years. We're in tax year 2023, and our total digest value net of exemptions increased 25.6%, or $492 million. I have also included a breakdown for the incorporated City of Hinesville area, as well as the unincorporated and other incorporated areas such as Midway, Riceboro, those cities. The net digest for both of the other components also increased 25% from last year. This slide shows a breakdown of the digest growth. As I mentioned, we have had a substantial growth within the county of $492 million net. Real growth makes up almost 83% of this growth, and our reassessed growth was 17%. Although the county has experienced substantial growth, referring to the digest, the countywide exemptions this year grew by even more. Total county exemptions increased $381 million in 2022 to $557 million in 2023. This is a 46% increase, which far exceeds our digest growth. This chart shows a breakdown of all the exemptions that are offered by the county. Some of them are mandated by the state, and other ones are elected by the board. The smaller chart on the right-hand side breaks out our largest top 3 exemptions: Freeport, disabled veteran, and the KDW local freeze. These 3 alone make up 80% of the total county exemptions total. This year, we have had the largest increase in a single year in our total exemptions, as you can see on this graph. Total exemptions have been steadily growing over the past 8-9 years, and this year they just jumped. It also is important to remember that these exemptions only apply to counties. The city, the school board, they don't have the same kind of exemptions that we are mandated here at the county. To reduce, that ultimately reduces our total tax base. Another factor that plays a role in the county's millage process is the adjustment we have to make for the duplicated services. State law prevents citizens from being taxed twice for the same service. And since the large majority of our citizens of the county reside in the City of Hinesville, the county has to adjust its millage rate each year for any duplication of services. And what I mean by that is if the city if the city of Hinesville offers or has a fire department, and the county also does, we have to take out those factors within our budget when we are calculating the millage rate that we're applying to the city of Hinesville residents. For the county's current FY24 budget, the duplicated services calculated for the city of Hinesville residents was $7.1 million, and the largest by far is for fire protection. The next slide shows the trend of the general funds budget over the last 5 years. As the county expands its services and service areas within the county, our budget increases. As this slide notes, our budget increased just shy of 17% this year, and is comparable to the increase from last year of 16%. As Chairman Levitt mentioned, there are certain reasons other than expanding our services and the areas we serve that drive up the county's budget. And for this year, for the FY24 budget, one of the largest increases was the property tax insurance increase that we received. This increase was unexpected for the county on such a large scale and completely out of our control. Another reason for the increased budget is for implementing a salary study that the county had done that raised the pay scale to market value for all of our full-time employees. This was needed for the county to be able to offer competitive wages in an effort to retain and attract employees. This chart shows a breakdown of the county's general fund budget by function for expenditures. As you can see, public safety makes up the largest portion of the pie. We have also broken down the current year's budget by classification of services. There are certain classifications that are mandated, essential, and discretionary, just to illustrate, what percentage of the tax dollars and the ultimate the budget go and what those are used for by the county. And to better explain, mandated services include things like the Board of Commissioners, the Sheriff's Office, various courts, the coroner. Essential services include things like fire services, animal control, road and maintenance, mosquito control, just to name a few. So our discretionary services, going back, make up a very small piece of the pie. But those are things that relate to just promoting employee retention, and we have a service awards luncheon and, things that kind of bring the county together. This is our proposed millage rate for the county for 2023. This year, we have broken down the millage rate to include certain segments to illustrate the millage equivalent or the value for some of the larger services that the county provides. There are many other counties in the state of Georgia that adopt their millage rate in a similar fashion. We feel that this provides more information to the county residents to better understand the millage rate as a whole. Again, the millage rate proposed is what was determined by the county and the Board of Commissioners to support the adopted FY24 budget. There are a couple of assumptions I just wanted to point out in calculating this year's millage rate. This millage rate assumes a 98% collection rate on our property taxes, which is in line with recent years. Additionally, this millage rate includes a change in our proposed budget to reduce it by $625,000 for some new fire personnel. We're just kind of pushing that out to next fiscal year in an attempt to try to reduce the amount of ultimate property taxes that we need to support the budget. These charts show a breakdown of the proposed millage rate by segment for both the unincorporated and incorporated other areas, as well as the city of Hinesville. Yes. And now these charts show a breakdown of the proposed millage rate for the county as a percentage of the whole millage rate that you will be taxed for on your property tax bills. Please note that these are proposed rates that may or may not have been adopted by the different agencies thus far. But for the unincorporated and incorporated other areas of the county's portion of the total millage rate proposed for 2023 makes up about 50%. The Board of Education makes up about 36% of your total millage. As you recall, we have to back out some of those duplicated services for the residents of Hinesville. So if the county tax for the residents of Hinesville, the county portion of the millage is 37%. The Board of Education is another 31%. And the city's portion, the city tax to its residents is 20%. And there are the other smaller areas, the Hospital Authority and Development Authority, that also comprise a portion of the total. We have added this slide, which is the notice of property tax increase that the county advertised in the newspaper to address some questions and concerns we have heard on this matter. This advertisement can be very misleading to the public, and we wanted to stress the fact that we do not expect in any way the county's property taxes to increase to 35% this year. This calculation is one that is required by the state based on a rollback of property taxes, a very kind of convoluted and complicated calculation, but it does not reflect the actual increase that we're going to see or that we expect to see. Something else we have received some questions on is the homeowners tax relief grant. This was signed into state law by Governor Kemp in March of 2023 and allows for a one-time reduction of $18,000 to the assessed value of your property, and this will show up as a credit on your tax bill. Please note that this only applies to residential taxpayers that receive the standard homestead exemption. So if it's your primary home and you have applied for your homestead exemption prior to April 1st, you will get this credit this year. If you own more than one property or more than one home in Liberty County, a rental property, other kind of properties, you won't receive this on your second property. It will only be the one you live as your primary residence that you receive the homestead exemption. This reduction of tax or this reduction of value will automatically be applied to your tax bills, and there is no action required by the homeowners to receive it. Please note that this is a one-time reduction that was given to the state to all of us this year, but cannot be relied upon or expected in future years. I have included some millage rate examples to show the proposed 2023 taxes for residential homeowners. And again, I stress that this is only the county's calculation for its portion of the total millage rate. The first example here is for a home that is valued at $150,000 in the unincorporated and other areas of the county. The chart on the left, there are two columns of information. I'm not sure if you guys can see that well, but the left-hand side column is for a home that is $150,000. It was valued that this year and last year, so no change in value, which we know that there was an assessment done, and it's pretty unlikely. So we have just projected, very loosely, just estimated. The next column to the right is a $150,000 home whose value increased 20% from last year. The chart on the right-hand side is just showing you the calculation for last year's tax and then the left is the 2023 projected. This example, however, does show a residential homeowner that is taking the homestead exemption. And so I have also included the calculation. The $2,000 is a homestead exemption calculation, and the HTRG exemption of the $18,000. So this takes your value and backs out your exemptions to get a total value at which the millage rate will be applied. Also, you might be eligible for other kinds of exemptions. That is not shown in this illustration. This does not in any way represent the actual amount of tax you're going to pay. This is just for illustrative purposes on how your property taxes are calculated, especially showing that credit from the state and what effect it will have on this year's tax. For the home that's valued at $150,000, that the value increased by 20%, the increase on your 2023 tax bill for the county will be $10. You might be asking yourself, in the other column, how can there be a decrease from taxes if we know the millage rate is increasing? This is due to that state credit that all the homestead properties are receiving, and it's actually helping. And the value of your home, I mean, the more that your home is valued, the less you'll get the same benefit, but the less tax effect it'll have, and I'll show you in the next example. So this is a example of a $250,000 home, also in the unincorporated and other areas of the county. Similar to the previous slide, the left-hand column is your 2023 projected property taxes, and the right-hand column is last year's tax calculation, using those proposed millage rate for current year and the actual millage rate from last year. For a home valued at $250,000, with no change in value from the previous year, there would be a $14 reduction in taxes. However, for that same home valued at $250,000 this year, that's value increased 20% from last year, we're estimating an increase in property taxes annually of $276. So I've also done the calculations for a City of Hinesville resident in relation to the county's taxes using the same methodology. So a home with $150,000 in Hinesville with a 20% increase in property value, and that's just totally projected, hypothetical, we would expect taxes to increase by $20.
30.
For a $250,000 home in the City of Hinesville, with its value also having increased 20%, we would expect an increase in property taxes of $277 for the year. And please remember, this is only the county's portion of the millage. And this completes my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay. What we're going to do now is Commissioners allow the public to have public participation piece, and Ms. Maria's given Mr. Mosley the chart. He will do the roll call for us. Public, I ask you again, IT, put that first slide up again, please, with the protocol we're going to try to abide by. Ask everybody to give it that very level best to abide by the protocol. Just a minute, Mr. Mosley. Here it is. All right. Those wishing to speak, register. Hope you've done that. Address comments to the chairman of the board. Offer comments once during each hearing, 3 minutes. Keep it directly related to this matter, and you can submit questions for follow-up. Let me say that you have the opportunity as a public at any time to make an appointment with the staff, and we'll sit down with you in our room and just go over whatever you want to go over with. You know, so you have us at your discretion rather than coming to an event like this where you may only have 3 to 5 minutes. You can have us at your discretion call, make an appointment, and Mr. Brown will assign the appropriate staff to sit down with you and discuss whatever it is you need to discuss. I would say this, these are your first line right here, though. Go to your commissioners, find out who your commissioners are. Go to them first. That's what they're here for. Go to them first, Then should you need to, because they'll always call in the county staff too for help that they need, but use your commissioners. They represent each area of Liberty County, Georgia. Go to your commissioners, and you can get a lot of questions answered. You can have one-on-one, nothing better than one-on-one. Certainly if you want to, you can come up here. Budget's always available for review. It's open record, those kind of things, open record. Of course, our minutes are online. You can always look at those, as well as our minutes are live streamed. So you have ample opportunities to have access to us rather than once a year at this time. All right. Who's first, Mr. Mosley?
Mr. Mike Coward, sir.
Mike Cowart?
Yes, sir.
Hi, sir, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
Good to see you.
Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I should say,
Yeah,
and all the
Commissioner.
commissioners.
Yeah.
Never done this before.
That's right.
But I'm here because of that.
Yes,
And
sir.
I got my notice in April of what taxes were going to be, and my taxes increased almost $600 this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see this notice that tells me we're going to go up again. Is that true?
The notice you got in April is from the tax assessor's office.
Right, okay.
So, and you had opportunity for 3 months? To go.
Yeah, they're going there and talking
To go
about
discuss
it.
with them.
I was
That's
just
it.
going to pay it.
Yeah. No. And that's just, the state requires them to do that, but that's not your actual taxes,
Okay.
Because the millage hadn't been set by that time. That's to give you a notice that your property been appraised, and it could be this, so.
Right.
The idea then is to go to speak with them, should you have some need to discuss it with them, and get that cleared out. But, and Glenda, her office, that's what they do downstairs.
Okay.
So that, but that's not your actual tax bill. In fact, it says that this is not a bill.
Well, I know that,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, when it comes time for the bill, that's what it's going to be. Is that correct?
No, sir.
No.
sir. No.
Help me out.
Once we set the millage, then that determines what the bill would be.
Well, then, from what I'm understanding, and that is my taxes are going to go up if this millage rate is passed. And it's going to go up, what percentage was that? Like 19?
Well, see, it's according to your exemptions. Everybody's different.
I hope I got an exemption.
Yeah, I hope so too. You have the
I
chance
don't
to go.
know.
You have the chance to go sign up for
Okay.
exemptions.
I've been a resident of this county for 31 years.
Yeah.
I've lived at my address for 27 years. I
Yeah.
appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Thank you, sir.
I really do. And I know it's a tough job.
It is.
But when you're 72 and retired, you have to budget this.
Yeah.
And I'm budgeted out.
1, 2, 3, 4 retirees on this commission.
Oh, that's
We're all in the
wonderful.
same boat.
Has the county ever considered what some other counties do, like Glenn, where senior citizens are exempt from the school board side of the taxes?
Once again, that's a school board issue.
As a school board thing, I
Yes, sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
But you're not the ones that decide
No,
that.
sir, not at all.
Oh, I need to go see the school board.
You do.
Okay.
You do. And listen, before you leave the building, go down to Ms. Glenda's office to see what exemptions you're signed up for.
Oh, I'm fixing to go down there and find out.
Yeah. That's why I encourage you. Don't wait till now to do that.
Yeah, I'm fixing to go. I think I've got all the exemptions I'm supposed
Go
to
check.
have.
Go check.
And I'm gonna go check.
Go
but
check.
I'm just here to say, I hope y'all don't increase my taxes no more. It's tough at 72. And if y'all can keep them where they're at, that'd be great. But I appreciate everything you do, although.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank y'all
Good to
so-
see you.
Good to see.
you.
Oh, I went around with Mike Tyson yesterday. So.
Good to see you. Good to see you. You should see the other guy. The next person, Mr. Mosley. And once again, exemptions, that's Ms. Glenda's office downstairs. Don't wait till now to check on that. Don't wait till now to check on that. See what your exemptions are. See if you need to renew something. See, you may qualify for something additionally. Now, but keep this in mind. The more exemptions we have, and it's good that you get them, but remember them, remember this, it has to be made up somewhere. But I do want you to get all the exemptions you qualify for. So please go see Ms. Glenda about that.
Ms. Rhonda Darney.
Ms. Darney? Yeah.
I'm in as bad a shape as he is, only mine's on my foot. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I do appreciate the fact that we at least have a fire department out on our end now.
And I'm hoping some of that money in the budget is going to be to get a third bay out there where we can get a ladder truck, because a number of us have two-story buildings, and there's no way to get, that taken care of now. So I'm hoping that that will be taken care of. I'm not going to say too much because I know you know what you're doing, but I am just going to say, like he said, it's getting very difficult. I retired in 2010. This year is the first time from my teaching retirement in Ohio. We got a 1% one-time raise, which means with the rate of inflation, I'm forced to live on about 50% of what I had when I retired. And as you well know, everybody's insurance, taxes, everything going up, and it really is getting very, very difficult. The other thing I'm concerned about, I have 2 young grandsons that have very young families, and every $5, $10, $50, $100, that they have to pay, it's very difficult. And unfortunately, the situation that they're in with the inflation and everything, guess who they come to for help? Great-grandma and grandma, and, I've got,
You're singing to the choir.
well, I've got a new great-grandson who's adorable, and, but trying to pay for
I don't
diapers and
have any
food and all this
grandkids
other
yet.
stuff.
Knock on wood. He's
I do
12,
appreciate,
dude.
what you've tried to do, but it does get difficult. And I guess the one question, maybe you could answer, and I don't know if you can. I honestly do not understand why 5 years in a row that everything has to be increasing and increasing and increasing. I thought, and this is a little bit off the end, I thought with all these millions of dollars coming in from the trade port area, that part of this would be covered. And I'm not sure, why not? Maybe you can help me out with that.
It's not just the trade port area. And didn't see my fire chief come in? Get ready to, just a few minutes, please, sir. It's the commercial growth is what really brings in the income for the county. So we've had a lot of commercial growth, and we were really looking forward to it being able to cover everything we need. But then, as Mr. Samantha presented, then the insurance bill hit us. Of course, we knew we had done the issue with the staffing, take care of the staff, upgrade the staff. We knew that would come. But the insurance just kind of caught us totally off guard. So the growth wasn't enough to cover our new expenditures. We were not looking and never look forward to having to increase millage. We never do that. But those things happen, and we have to have our county properties insured. So just the nature of the beast of that. And now you mentioned, and I was advised that it's not good to go back, because I thought, as you were thinking, people are wondering, well, what happened this year? We started with public safety, and then the fire, then the EMS. So those things that happened over the years that has caused us to have an uptick to cover. Personnel is going to be your biggest expense. So to cover those personnel for those departments, the sheriff came 3 years ago maybe with his request for increased personnel. Then we did the fire. Then we took over the EMS. All those things are costly and necessary. My EMS people here, they're necessary. So those are the reasons from year to year to year why we had to do a little uptick in our millage.
Okay, one more question you're
Yes, sir.
probably not going to like. I've been told from a number of officials in the county that only about 40% of the taxes on the mobile homes are ever collected. Is that true? And if so, why?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can find out. I do know that I had a conversation with Tax Commissioner Jones a few months ago when he's investigating a company that specializes in mobile home tax and to ensure they are a moving target. People move them in, they're moving out, those kind of things, and it's hard to manage. So he has learned of a company that specializes in that. In fact, you hear it now, Commissioner, he wants to have that company maybe present us in December on what they'd like to offer to help us with managing that whole issue of monitoring mobile homes in Liberty County.
Well, that might be a good thing, because I will tell you,
Yeah.
a couple houses away from my daughter, there was a lady who hadn't paid taxes for 17 years, and nothing
Yeah.
was ever done about it until she passed away.
Yeah.
And I think that's something you really need to look into to get that in. And one more question, then I'll be quiet. I know we're at 4% on what you bring in for taxes, on what we purchase. Instead of, you're allowed under the state, I assume I read 5%, is that correct?
I'm not understanding.
Come on.
Maybe splost or
No, not
another tax
splost.
on merchandise that we
Yeah.
purchase. I think 4% is state and then.
Oh, it said Georgia State can go up to 5%.
Go up
We're
to
at 4.
5 and then, okay,
that's what you
okay,
mean.
okay.
So maybe that's something in the future to keep things down a little bit, and that way everybody's paying something and not just homeowners.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. Our maintenance department, when he presented his budget, one of his larger, one of his line items that had the greatest increase was supplies, on the cost of supplies now, you know.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
stuff that we need to, and wherever this goes to, I had the opportunity to visit the DA yesterday with some folk, and they made a comment about we have one of the cleanest jails in the state, they said. I said, I'm glad somebody, we had that. But my point of view is when our maintenance guy came, that's one of his greatest increases, his line item was cleaning supplies, those kind of, light bulbs,
Yeah.
those kind of things.
We all know.
We all know.
I think Mr. Stevens wanted to say
I'm sorry.
something.
Mr. Chair, I heard what you stated a few minutes ago, and thank you for taking your time to come today. And I noticed one thing that probably would be able to help us out, and I just made this discovery, that we need to look at our inspections and permit costs. Just to give an example, on an industry, Liberty County is only charging $990. Over in Brunswick, it's $272,000 for a permit. That's a big difference. Hinesville is charging $102,000, but we only charging $990. That's a big difference. So we need to look at that as soon expeditiously after we get through with this.
Okay.
Save us money next year.
We'll talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you anyway,
Good to see you.
Commissioners. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to be bringing a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners on fee proposals in that area.
Okay.
The next one, Mr. Chairman, is Mr. John McIver.
Mr. John,
Chairman.
Chairman Emeritus, John McIver.
Good afternoon, Chairman
Oh, sir.
and fellow commissioners. I thought I'd be getting a Merry Christmas greeting from the commissioners this year. It don't seem like you're gonna get a Merry Christmas. It's gonna be the Grinch who stole Christmas. I'm here this afternoon to, not to advocate or to, speak against the millage rate. Some of the questions I had written down was presented or answered in our
Mr. Mathis.
presentation. And I had some questions about the budget increase, the real growth, the reassessment growth, and the collection rate. I think you addressed that pretty well. And I'm specifically concerned about the collection rate. And it appears that for this fiscal year or calendar year, you can be doing a 98% collection. And that's real great. Because when I looked in the Coastal Courier at all the advertisement of property that goes up on the sheriff's sale by Mr. Jones, you look at it, those property are delinquent for 3 years. 3 years delinquents. And how can the county operate when you set the budget on a millage and what you want to collect to pay for general operation and the property tax, it is not being collected? Now, I know it's not Mr. Jones' fault, because there are a lot of citizens who have property just refuse to pay it. And some of them cannot pay it. And we got to think about senior citizens, fixed income, like this past presenter, they on fixed income. And those incomes are not increasing as the county increase property tax. So wherever exemption they can get, they're getting it, and they have exhausted, and nothing more you can get. But again, property tax have to go up. So encouraging the board in the future, if you're not doing it, let's start looking at other sources of revenue that can possibly offset some of the cost of operation for the things that you are doing a great job. I know there's a lot of capital project that's on the book, being paid for with some of the splash dollars. Great job. We need it. Got to catch up. But when you start seeing growth like we seen this past fiscal year, and this for year 23, reassessed growth 17%, real growth 8%, 25.6% increase in the digest. That's a lot of increase. But you look at it also, and I see there's a 557, 668, 981 in what? Exemption.
Exemptions.
That cannot be taxed. That's the burden. And what happened? You shift to those who not take advantage of the exemptions. So, and those are senior citizens. And I just want to advocate, to the board, and we are doing a good job, but there's a time we got to just put another notch in that belt. And we all try to do that when we can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chairman McIver, one of the things that when Ms. Glenda Roberts came before us, because you know this, having sat where I sit, to tell us that the state, the state requirements about the appraisals and where they have to be, she gave us a warning shot, Of course, it's from the state, it's not from her, but she was, don't shoot the messenger, she was the messenger. But she also put us on alert, sir, that even where they set the appraisal values, the state still doesn't meet the, what's the word?
The threshold.
Yeah, the threshold.
Yeah, that the state requires. So we could possibly see another increase next year. Now, we were looking so much forward to the digest bailing us out. We were looking so much, and the digest did very well. Mm-hmm. But as you very well said, the exemptions just came in, they didn't wipe it out, but it took away some of the gravy we thought we would have so that we could perhaps do some rollback. But that's what happened this year. So we're looking at, there's a lot of growth in the community, countywide. So we're looking forward to what next year is going to bring, but we take in consideration everything that you have said, and just as when you were here, my county department heads are very conscientious, about what they request, what they have to include the board that you chair. Mm-hmm. Always looking out for the county, so we appreciate those people. But I won't say I was I was disappointed that we weren't able to use all the fruit of the digest this time. To help us out. We look forward to that, and we're always conscious about seniors and those who struggle, because we know the trip to the grocery store now ain't what it used to be.
Right.
All those things factor in. So we take very well your recommendation. We promise we're going to look at that, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Ms. Nancy Holman Meyer.
Ms. Holman, Ms. Meyer.
Hello,
Hello.
everybody. I would like to say thank you, sir. Everything you said was right on the line. Put a notch in your belt. We all have to. Also,
but can I do this?
that's not my 3 minutes, sir.
No.
Okay.
Samantha, remind me again the dollar figure, the cuts we made. How many million was it? Long story short, that belt is squeezed. We can hardly breathe.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting a little tight
Yeah.
myself.
Like 6.7 million.
6.7 million. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I want to say also, we as citizens really do, even though you probably don't believe me because I've been up here spouting many other times, we really do appreciate what you're doing for us. But you also need to remember that Liberty County is a poor county. I think we're number 44 in the state, and, you can't get blood from a turnip or from a stone or whatever that little saying is. But we do appreciate what you're doing, I promise.
Thank you.
If you could just help us out a little more. And one more remark that's not exactly on target is, every time I email all of you, I've only gotten one response from one person. I've gotten a lot of responses from Mr. Gilliard saying, my mailbox is full. Every time, over the years, every time. And I do not believe that that is correct. Just saying. Now I've lost my train. Please, lady and gentlemen, please look at what is going on in the county. Exemptions, yes, but why do these companies have to have so many? You're taking the money from us. And another positive thing I want to say is Miss Glenda Roberts is top-notch. I was out of the country over the summer, and my exemption, sorry, everybody, I want one too, was handled perfectly well per email. My email didn't go through at first, but Ms. Tart helped, and Ms. Glenda responded personally, and so everything was settled. That was really a job well done. Yeah, I mean, I could go down my whole list, but you received my email, I guess everybody but Mr. Gilliard, and those are my questions, and I would appreciate an answer, and I would appreciate that some action be taken.
Thank you.
Was that polite enough to say?
That's good. You did very well. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Listen, I have
For
this.
email, or how are you going to do that?
Let's look at the email first, then we'll.
Oh.
Would you like to come in?
Yeah, as soon as I get my back
Okay,
surgery done.
all right,
Monday,
okay,
then I'll
all right.
come in.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Mr., so somebody make a note of that, if you will, for us, please. I remind you too, the exemptions, the Liberty County Development Authority. Liberty County Development Authority. They usually meet the last Monday of the month unless there's some change, but that's where the exemptions will be discussed, the Liberty County Development Authority.
What time and where?
It's usually 9 o'clock. Go to their website, because I do know sometimes because of trying to get a quorum, they have to change their meetings, but generally the fourth Monday of every month. The office is on Highway 84. Google the Liberty County Development Authority, I'll be there. That's where all the exemption information is. Okay. In fact, they're going to try to come this evening, but not making you come back. But yeah. Next person, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gregory Lukowski.
Thank you, sir.
That's it, sir.
That's it, sir. All right, thank you. All right, commissioners, we'll allow for your feedback. If there be any, then we'll close this out and get ready for this evening. Commissioner Stevens?
Mr. Chair and everyone in the audience, sometime I have to write things down to make sure I remember it. I just want to say it like I do not enjoy raising taxes. I have never made any promise that I will lower taxes. But we as commissioners up here, whatever decisions that we make, we don't get a discount. This is applied to every homeowner, property owner in the county. Now, there's a few things that I would like to look at as a commissioner for Liberty County. A couple of years ago, we took on the EMS service from the hospital. And that's one of the only millage rate that the county commissioners can control beside this one. And when we took on about 48 employees from the hospital was able to keep the same millage rate that they had, but the Board of Commissioners accept that additional burden. And I have made mention several times that maybe we need to go back and look at the hospital millage rate. I'm not saying that they're not catching hell over there, but we catching hell over here. So if my face is going to be dirty, then their face needs to kind of look the same. So my recommendation a year ago was to go back and try to lower the hospital millage rate to at least take away about 1.5 millage rate, which would leave them with suffice enough money to operate. Now, another thing that we need to look at that will help employees out within the county, it will be in a form of a raise. We need to look at, this board need to look after shopping around for insurance to make it feasible for the lowest employee that works for the county that they will be able to take home more money. That would be like a pay raise to the employees. And also, we enjoy industries coming to Liberty County, but these industries must and will have to start paying their fair share for, it will help us out with fire, EMS, law enforcement, and anything else, and infrastructure. But these industries must start paying their fair share.
Thank you, sir. I'm coming down the line. You can pass if you opt to.
Oh, same story.
All right.
10 years, economic development. I'm sorry? Again, 10 years, same thing. Let's think outside the box, economic development. Let's look at some type of revenue generating project. Mr. Chair, can we put together an exploratory committee to look at some other options? That's all I got today. Tired.
You're consistent.
Hey.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, we're spending money on everything else. Even if you look at recreation, it's 2% of the budget. That's quality life. Thank you.
Commissioner Thrift?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do appreciate the opportunity to serve. Also serving on the Finance Committee over the past many, many years. There have been several that's been faithful to the Finance Committee. And we have combed over and looked over and cut. We did, I think, a great job. Our staff and our department heads have done a great job. Those that we or Mr. Brown's office has authority over. The elected officials, we do not have authority over. Obviously, we can approve their budget or not, but Mr. Brown's department heads, and many of them are here today. And I appreciate the fact that y'all took the time to come over today. We have stood up EMS. We have stood up fire. But I live in the unincorporated area. When I call 911, I want somebody to come. I live like 15, 18 miles from here. And I appreciate the fact that Station 15 Fire Department was the first one that we got. And we got it with splost money when Mr. John McIver, Chairman McIver, was the chairman at that time. And they have answered many calls out in our community. Accidents, they don't get called just to a fire. They get called to accidents or people falling and hurting themselves or need help back into bed. Sometimes we have to limit those calls as to what, or limit them completely. But they get calls all the time, and I appreciate the fact they're in the unincorporated area, and it takes money to put those people there. The voluntary fire departments are no longer. Those men and women don't want to get up and go to a fire. Most of them have their own paying jobs during the day. So we have to pay those folks to be there. We have looked, we've cut, and we've done everything I think that we possibly could have done to cut that $7.5 million from departments that many of you may be sitting in here now. You may not have got that extra person you wanted or whatever, but you see what we have to deal with when we set the millage rate. And I own my own home. I'm homestead. Just like he said earlier, we don't get any cuts, you know, but we try very diligently to make and stretch that money as far as we can. And thank you all for approving SPLOST year after year after year so that we can have extra gravy, I guess you could say, to have a roads paved or I'm working on the new health department. man, that thing has been there since I was wee little, you know, and I'm retired now. So it's time we get a new one, and I am looking forward to that groundbreaking. And a lot of that will be done with SPLOST. My Coastal Health District has set aside money to put that there. But those men and women working in that building today, it is totally, they probably wasn't even born then when that building. But, you know, they need a new facility. And we do have a lot of projects on the books. And we are growing by leaps and bounds. And we were really looking for that digest growth. And it came. But so did other unexpected emergencies come in that we have to get paid for. And we all have those day to day. It's life. We have it. But I appreciate everyone that came today. Thank you.
Thank you. You said you're good? Yes. Okay, Commissioner Walden?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you. And I see one of my good friends, Ms. Hodges, in the back. Haven't seen you in a while, but I think a lot of times people feel like we don't care, that we just sit up here. But this has been a trying year for us because of the increase and because of the taxes. I am retired. My wife is retired. I mean, it's kind of tough. I understand it. Ms. Mayor, I didn't see your email till it said Nancy Holman, Mayor. Now I know who you, Meyer. So I know who you are now. But we all together sitting up here, we argue and we fight. We vote against one another, but it's not because we dislike them. It's just our feelings on one thing and another. This is a hard budget, the hardest one that I've ever seen. Mr. McIver talked about tightening your belt. Well, we can remember years ago the voting machines we've had. I don't know what the expense has been since, we have had to get new voting machines. We've had to get new fire trucks. We've had to get new employees. That's part of it. That's part of day-to-day process. But I do believe this group up here works hard. We try to collectively get together and move forward. The issue that you made on the taxes that are delinquent, if you got a $100,000 home and it's delinquent, basically all you've got to pay is the interest. You can pay the interest for a while and never have the full amount. That is one thing that I thought that we ought to do, is those interest rates on delinquent taxes ought to be raised up to where the prime's at. So it costs that individual, if he's wanting to just not pay his taxes and pay 2%, I think it needs to be at 6 and 8%, and we're able to generate that money. Not that there are people that can't pay them for a good, just reason, but that's what that gentleman gets when he's down there. Mr. Jones will look at it and say, I'll help you. We'll give you a little bit of time. You got to give everybody a little bit of leeway, but I've seen property, this whole county, that is delinquent, and we see it occasionally in the newspaper. What do? They run uptown, they pay a little bit of interest, and they go home. So again, I appreciate you coming. It's good to see you, the fire chief in the back. We'll do all we can, and I hope everybody has a successful rest of the year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Fire chief, come up, if you will, please. Just address the ladder truck issue, if you will, please, sir.
He's not on the
Since that was
agenda.
brought up. And let me say this, before he speaks, you heard Mr. Moses say we're working on collecting the fees. We talked with Recreation Board about looking at those fees. So there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes. But if you do tune in our meetings, you'll hear us discuss a lot of things in our meetings, So some of the things you guys mentioned are in the works. And we just need you to know that. So this is my fire chief. I know there's a ladder truck project that's in the works. So if you just inform our citizens, I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. Chairman, Commissioner. So currently Liberty County is in possession of a ladder truck. It was something that was approved last December, something that was in the works as early as October of last year with Pooler Fire Department. It was purchased through special purpose local option sales tax from SPLOST 6 for $45,000. A ladder truck we got used. It did not have equipment on it, did not come with any of the equipment. There were some tests that need to be done. It has passed all of its tests as expected, and currently we're in the process of getting the equipment for this apparatus. It is still got to go through decaling and striping. Once that vehicle comes online, it will actually be located at the Miller Park Fire Station because that's where we currently will have space for it. And we are still going to be looking at avenues of getting an additional ladder truck for the county.
While you're there, tell the good folk how we're having to be innovative with your staffing.
So our staffing is quite innovative right now. We do have a very small amount of volunteers. I believe one of the commissioners brought up at the last meeting, being a volunteer is quite difficult for today's day and age. They are held to the same requirements that a career firefighter is. And if not, it hurts us on an ISO. So we have to hold them to the same standards that we do a regular firefighter. We do have part-timers. Part-timers are great. They are a huge piece in filling where we currently have 15 vacancies within the full-time staff. Currently, I believe we're sitting right at about 22 part-time firefighters, and there's advertisements for them. The one thing that we all have to be reminded of is in those events of the natural disasters, major incidences, things like that, when the EOC has to stand up, those part-timers we lose. They go back to their full-time departments. So all we have are our full-timers and the volunteers that we have. As far as our full-time staff, our training division has been a huge feeding source for full-time firefighters. At our last graduation, you heard me turn and say that more than 60% of our current full-time staff has gone through our recruit program, which is huge. We are currently, and for everybody out there in Facebook world, currently we have a recruit advertisement out, so you need no experience. We will take care of all of the training, pay you to get the training. We will even give you uniforms to show up to work. That closes on December 29th. Come and be a part of this. Be part of the change, be part of the growth. We also have a different technique out there called our lateral firefighter program that is scheduled for the first time to go, where we can bring in currently certified firefighters from other agencies as long as they meet certain requirements and get them to the floor fast. So we are out there. There are challenges with people. On the topic of things costing way much more, I want to remind y'all as the commissioners, you guys have been gracious to the fire department. Back in 2018, you guys authorized the purchase of 2 fire trucks. Those 2 fire trucks cost $749,982 for 2 fire trucks. Today, you currently approved a fire truck last August. That 1 fire truck is $680,000. 2 fire trucks to 1, and look at what the cost has happened from 2018 to approved in August of last year. It's the inflation. It's lead times, it's build times. So it is being felt anywhere and everywhere. So I know that I don't just feel it on my side. I know that EMS is even in more of a struggle when it comes to cost for trucks and trying to get trucks just to Band-Aid stuff together to keep it rolling. So it's not just fire department, it's everywhere that has a specialty vehicle. And unfortunately, in fire and EMS, we require specialty vehicles. Chairman, did that answer your question?
That answers my question, sir.
Did a good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, this is the Chair, entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
So move.
Second. All in favor, show of hands. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming. Our last hearing will be this afternoon at 5 o'clock.